in the quiet, forgotten town of Havenwood, where time seemed to flow a little slower, lived a man named Arthur Penelligon. Arthur wasn't just a repairman, he was a horologist, a master of gears and springs, a man who understood the secret language of ticking clocks. His shop, time and again, was a sanctuary of gentle sounds, filled with the rhythmic heartbeats of countless time. He was a man of few words, his hands doing most of the talking, coaxing life back into forgotten heirlooms. One gray Tuesday, a stranger entered his shop. He was shrouded in a heavy coat despite the mild air, his face obscured by the shadow of a wide-brimmed hat. He said nothing, simply placed a heavy, ornate clock on the counter. It was a macabre masterpiece, carved from a dark, unfamiliar wood that seemed to drink the light. Instead of Roman numerals, its face was adorned with strange, unsettling symbols. And most bizarrely, it had only one hand, thick and black, which was moving backward. It was counting down. The stranger left as silently as he arrived, leaving Arthur alone with the unsettling timepiece. Arthur, driven by professional curiosity, began his examination. The clock's internal mechanism was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was a labyrinth of impossible geometry, humming with a faint, cold energy. The countdown on its face read just under 3 hours. He tried to stop it, to dismantle it, but the gears wouldn't yield. It was as if the clock was a single, solid object, impervious to his tools. As the single hand crept closer to the top, a sense of unease settled over Arthur like a shroud. Precisely as the hand hit the final mark, the clock fell silent. At that exact moment, the town's fire siren wailed. Old Mr. Abernathy, the sweet-natured baker, whose shop was just down the street, had suffered a sudden, fatal heart attack. The town mourned, calling it a tragic coincidence. Arthur, however, felt a cold dread crawl up his spine. He looked at the clock. It had reset itself and was now counting down from 24 hours. The next day, as the countdown reached 0, another tragedy struck. The town librarian, a vibrant young woman named Clara, was killed in a freak accident when a bookshelf inexplicably collapsed on her. Panic began to ripple through Havenwood. 2 sudden deaths in 2 days were no longer a coincidence. Arthur knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that the clock was responsible. It wasn't telling time, it was taking it. He was trapped in a horrifying cycle. Each day, the clock would begin a new countdown, and each day, another soul in Havenwood would be extinguished. He tried everything to destroy the cursed object. He submerged it in water, but it kept ticking. He took a hammer to its casing, but the hammer simply bounced off, leaving not so much as a scratch. The clock was indestructible, its purpose absolute. Arthur became a reluctant harbinger of doom. He started watching the people of his town, his heart aching with every tick of the clock. Who would be next? The friendly postman, the cheerful school teacher. He was haunted by the faces of his neighbors, seeing them as potential victims. The weight of this knowledge was crushing him, isolating him in a world of silent, ticking dread. He stopped sleeping, his nights spent staring at the ghastly countdown, a helpless warden on death row. Driven to the edge of madness, Arthur began a frantic investigation into the clock's origins. He scoured ancient texts on horology and occult lore, his dusty workshop transformed into a war room against an unseen enemy. His search led him to a forgotten legend, a chilling tale of a reaper's clock, an artifact said to be carved from the wood of a gallows tree and powered by a captured soul. The legend said the clock didn't just predict death, it caused it, feeding on the life force of its victims to sustain its own unnatural existence. The text described the strange symbols on the clock's face. They weren't numbers or letters, but glyphs representing a dark celestial alignment, a cosmic timetable for harvesting souls. The most terrifying part of the legend was the final passage. It spoke of the clock's ultimate purpose. After a certain number of souls were claimed, it would perform a final, grand countdown. This last countdown was not for a random townsman. It was for the one who possessed the clock, the one who had borne witness to its terrible work. The soul would be the final, most potent offering, a feast to empower the entity within for another century. A wave of icy realization washed over Arthur. He looked at the clock, It had just claimed its latest victim, the town's mayor. But this time, it didn't reset to 24 hours. The single, black hand swept around the dial and began a new, much shorter countdown. 1 hour. Arthur's blood ran cold. He didn't need the ancient texts to tell him whose life was now on the line. He could feel it. The clock was no longer looking outward at the town. Its cold, malevolent attention was now fixed squarely on him. For weeks, he had been a spectator to the horror. Now, he was the main event. Panic gave way to a strange, steely calm. He wasn't going to be a passive victim. He was a horologist. He understood the soul of a machine. This clock had a soul, a dark and hungry one, but a soul nonetheless. And if it had a soul, it had a heart. He had to find its heart. He ignored the dwindling minutes and focused on the clock's intricate design, his trained eyes searching for a flaw, a secret, a hidden seam. He remembered the legend the clock was powered by a captured soul. How would one contain such a thing? He noticed a tiny, almost invisible etching at the base of the clock, a symbol he hadn't seen before. It was a maker's mark, but not one he recognized. It was a tiny coiled serpent eating its own tail. Ouroboros, the symbol of cycles, of eternity. With trembling hands, he pressed the serpent's eye. A barely audible click echoed in the silent shop. A small, hidden compartment slid open at the back of the clock. Inside was not a gear or a spring, but a small, pulsating crystal that glowed with a faint, sickly green light. It beat in time with his own frantic heart. This was it. The clock's heart, the prison of the captured soul. The countdown now showed less than 10 minutes. Arthur knew that destroying the crystal would likely unleash whatever dark energy was trapped inside, and he might not survive the blast. But if he did nothing, his death was certain. It was a choice between a definite end and a sliver of a chance. He grabbed the heaviest tool on his bench, a solid steel mallet he used for forging parts. With 5 minutes left, he looked around his beloved shop. At the Hintla, ticking faces of the clocks he had spent his life repairing. They had brought order and peace to his world. This dark intruder had brought only chaos and death. He would not let it win. He would not let it take him. As the clock's hand ticked past the 1-minute mark, Arthur raised the mallet high above his head. He took a deep breath, the air thick with the smell of old wood and machine oil. He wasn't just a quiet repairman anymore. He was a guardian, a warrior fighting against a darkness that had invaded his peaceful world. The clock's final countdown was not just for his life. It was a countdown to his defiance. With a final, guttural yell that tore through the silence of his shop, he brought the mallet down with all his might. The sound was not of shattering crystal, but of 1,000 screams released at once, a wave of dark energy that exploded outwards, throwing Arthur across the room. The lights in his shop flickered and died, plunging him into absolute darkness and silence. The rhythmic ticking that had been the soundtrack to his entire life was gone. When Arthur awoke, the sun was streaming through his shop window. Every single clock had stopped, and on the floor where the Reaper's clock had stood, there was nothing but a pile of fine, black dust and a single, cracked crystal that no longer pulsed with any light. He slowly got to his feet, bruised and aching, but alive. He walked to the door and looked out at Heavenwood. The town was quiet, but it was the peaceful quiet he had always known, not the fearful silence of the past few weeks. The cycle was broken. The clock was dead. Artur Peneligon, the quiet repairman, had faced down death itself and had wound its clock for the very last time. He went back to his workbench, picked up his tools, and with a slow, steady hand, he began the gentle work of bringing time and life back to his town, one tick at a time. The old locket felt strangely warm in my hand. I clicked it open. Inside, instead of a portrait, was a tiny, intricate map etched into the brass. It wasn't a map of any place I knew. The lines glowed with a faint, silvery light. Suddenly, the compass on the desk spun wildly, its needle pointing, not north, but directly at the locket. That's when I realized the whispers I'd been hearing weren't just the wind. They were directions, leading me to a place that wasn't on any map. A place only this locket could reveal. The adventure had just begun. What do you think the map leads to? Let me know in the comments. If you love a good mystery, make sure to hit that like button, share this with a friend, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Thanks for watching.